Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the special session going on in Texas, the ongoing saga of repealing Obamacare or not, and what's the strategy of these companies that tend to have no problem to promote the liberal agenda in one way or another. All that on this episode of Trend Chat. Welcome everybody to another episode of Trend Chat. I'm your host Brian Bledsoe, and if you want to get in touch with us, whether on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, it's all the same name, Trend Chat 24/7. And I write for politichicks.com. If you want to read some of my articles there, just go to politichicks.com/author/Brian Bledsoe. And I'm guessing y'all probably still hear the music playing in the background. You know what? I'm gonna let it play all the way out, just in the background. Just kind of give you a little behind the scenes of when I'm doing the podcast. And I really like that song. And I remember when I first started doing it. I mean, not like it was long ago. It was in February, but still. And it's funny because I was actually at the truck stop where I did the first episode of Trend Chat in February. I was there this morning. And also, just to let you know, right now I am in Wyoming, close to, I don't know, Wyoming is like just basically a lot of, well, I can't say it's flatland, but it's a lot of space out here. So, but yeah, we're broadcasting from Wyoming today. And yeah, so like I said, I was in Denver, Colorado this morning, and I was just thinking about this particular song because if you've been an avid listener of Trend Chat, then you know that this song wasn't the song on the podcast back then because I didn't have the rights to it or whatever. Or, I didn't have the money. Anyway, that's too much behind the scenes stuff. But so I came across this song and I'm like, oh, this ought to be the theme of the podcast. And even right now, I play the song when I'm not doing the podcast. Sometimes it's on my phone, so sometimes if I'm playing stuff on shuffle, it might come around to it, and I play it all. One thing I will mention, just to I guess kind of give you somewhat of a visual, is that so when I said my little open of what's coming up on the podcast. And then I play this song to start off. Just to let you know what I'm doing while that song is playing, I'm kind of chair dancing. I'm in my seat. I'm just kind of moving to it, doing a little. I'm not like break dancing over here, but I just really like the song, and so I'm just So yeah, y'all just kind of hear it in the background right now. But I'm gonna let it play. Matter of fact, I'm gonna play it on out then. And so like I said, we're gonna talk a little bit about the special session coming up, and also just want to mention, as far as talking about Politichicks, that the new book, Politichicks: A Clarion Call to Political Activism, is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and you can pick that up now. Even while you're listening, I'm pretty sure you can maybe get on the internet while you're listening and pick that up. So, yep. So, song's over. Okay. I never really done that, having the song play all the way out. But, so today, I don't know why for some reason I wasn't going to say what I was about to say. For some reason I started thinking about today is our Independence Day. I was thinking about that movie. For some reason, it just popped in my head. But All right, Brian, get together. Okay. Today there was the first day of the special session going on in Texas, and for the next 30 days, they're gonna be in session. And Governor Abbott had put together 20 planks as far as what he wants passed in this session, and I hope they all pass. I have no problem with a lot of them. Obviously, I would probably add a couple of things, but we'll see what happens in the next 29 days now. And it's funny because some things I already knew about the special session. I just want to give Debbie Terry, the SREC in SD12 in Texas, and she did what you call a special session primer at the Grapevine Republican Club last week, and I knew most stuff about the rules as far as what to expect from the special session. But one thing that kind of stood out, and I wish I would have asked a question about it then, but so the special session is 30 days, but the governor can call another special session if he sees fit. And the question I thought about then, I just forgot about it. I wonder how many times have that happened where multiple special sessions were called, and how many, Yeah, that was a question I was just thinking about actually today when I was thinking about talking about this. So, but in talking about this session, given the fact that it just started today, don't have really much on it. Another reason why I don't have much on it, because again, like I said, I'm in Wyoming, and there is very bad service, very bad cell service out here, which is understandable because it's basically the Great Plains out here. There's not a lot of reason to have a cell tower out here unless you just own the interstate. But so I haven't really been on Facebook or any social media or Google or anything really to see what happened today. Actually, the last thing I saw was like right when the session started this morning. After that, I've been going through Colorado, and like I said, just been whatever. So, and like I said, given the fact that the first day, I guess shouldn't be that much to really talk about anyway. So, also, I was just thinking about before I get to that, I want to play one of the first promos of the Founding Project. So, kind of going back to what I mentioned as far as that first podcast, basically like a couple of shows later, I started talking about the Founding Project. And so now the website is out, and now you're going to hear these clips from now on about the Founding Project. So I'm going to play the first one right now, and hopefully you will go to thefoundingproject.com.
Hello, Trend Chat listeners. If you like the Founding Project's Civics Education video series, Civics for All Ages, and our educational meme series, we think you will love our new website. Join us at thefoundingproject.com and be a part of the civics movement. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
Yep, and and thinking about as far as civics go, and talking about the next topic about Obamacare, I think a lot of people, if they really understood civics and understood what the founding documents of this country, and really, I guess, really understood what it means to be a citizen, I think you wouldn't have so many that would basically think that healthcare is a right. Now, I'm not just like really trying to try and make that connection, but I'm just thinking, I'm thinking if they knew more about, the Constitution and really understood it, that they will see that, at least maybe not they wouldn't be so far to think that the free market system is the way to go, which I think they would, but at least not to the point to where they feel like the government should take care of you. Basically, they should be the one to dictate your health care and all that. But and speaking of that, so now we are at the, as I mentioned in the beginning, the continuing saga of repealing Obamacare, and now we're at the point where Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that the current plan, the current bill that is out there is not going to go through, that they're going to go back to the 2015 bill and try to pass that, which is actually better than whatever they were trying to do as far as this whole repeal and replace and what the House was doing. And so if they're going to go back to the 2015 bill and get that passed, then great. But like I said, it's just going on. And, you know, I'm thinking about, what if this doesn't ever happen? What if they're keep going on and just keep delaying it to the point to where now we're in 2018, and then they're like, well, we don't want to take this bill up now because it's too controversial, and we're going into the election season, and whatever excuse they'll try to make, that they make all the time about basically everything, especially something that they deem controversial. So, but what if it doesn't happen? And we are in 2018 and Obamacare has not even been repealed. Like, nothing has happened. And the question I have to everyone who is listening, how important would that be to you regarding whoever your representative is or congressman is? How important would that be if by 2018 nothing has happened as far as repealing Obamacare? Would that be enough on this, just that one issue? Would that be enough for you to consider choosing someone else in the primary? I'm asking that for everyone that is listening, because that could be a real possibility. So, and if it's not that important, if it's important to you, but you don't think it's enough to kick that person out for not doing what they promised in the past, ever since 2010, if they haven't, nothing has happened, and you don't see that, if you do, then you're going to vote for someone else in the primary or whatnot. Or if you don't, then you wouldn't, because you was like, well, he or she had done other things and we don't want it to go to a Democrat, which understandable. I can understand how you would feel in not wanting to send someone new by choosing someone different in the primary against whoever the Democrats will have. So I can understand that, but I'm saying this because there has to be a breaking point somewhere. I'm guessing there has to be for some issue. Or is it all about just going along with the party regardless of what they do, regardless of what they say they're going to do and don't do? And I don't know what that breaking point is, if there is one. I'm thinking, would this be the breaking point for a lot of voters, or at least enough voters to have someone get defeated in the primary, or the incumbent be defeated, and have someone new to go against whoever the Democrat is, and most likely win, or whatever happens after the primary. And I don't know, will it be this if nothing has happened, or if something has happened to the point to where it's not repealing Obamacare, it's something that's being spun as repeal Obamacare, but everyone pretty much knows that Obamacare is still intact for the most part. But even if none of that happens, my question again is that would this be your breaking point to have someone else take over that congressman's seat? That's the question. I guess we'll all find out if nothing happens by 2018. Is this going to be the point for you, or for a good majority of people, or will it be something else? Whether it's like the wall. So last week the funding was appropriated for the wall, so it seems like it's going in the right direction as far as that happening. But I'm just saying, like, what issues, or does it have to be a number of issues as opposed to this one issue? I would contend that this is a pretty big issue, being the whole healthcare, Obamacare and all. So I would think that would be a pretty big, sticking point if they didn't come through with their campaign promises. But like I said, we don't know if anything's going to come, or if nothing's going to come when we look at this Obamacare, repeal or lack thereof. But that's just a question I ask about not only just Obamacare, it's just anything else. Is there a point to where you say, okay, this person got to go? He or she is not doing what they campaign on, and even regardless of how long they've been in or whatever, even if they just got there. But I think everyone, personally, if you are campaigning on something of who you saying that you're going to govern as a conservative or whatnot, and if you don't do that, and it's clearly shown that you're not the person that you said you were during the campaign, I don't care how long you've been in there. I don't care if you just got there or you've been there for 30 some odd years. I have no problem voting for someone else in the primary. I do it all the time, really. That's just me. Yeah, there's been plenty of times where during the primary, I might vote for somebody else. And if the incumbent wins, okay, then I'll probably turn out voting for whoever the incumbent is. Because then, at that point, during the general, the comparison between that incumbent that I may not like, 9 times out of 10, I said 99% of the time, is better than whoever the Democrat is going to be. So, but one thing I've mentioned before is that the primary is where it's at. If you don't like what is going on right now with your congressman, yes, call his office, post on social media and all that. That's great. But if you really want to do something about it, the time to do it is at the primary. If you really feel that way about it, if you're that mad about it, then so let's talk about this Obamacare thing. So if you're really upset about it, then don't forget this. If nothing happens and your congressman didn't do anything, or just Republicans in general, don't forget it and vote them out during the primary. It's really that simple, really. Please don't complicate it any more than that. If you don't like what your congressman is doing, you have an opportunity to do something about it at the primary. Now, I guess to throw a little bit of complication into it, it's also the person who is running against that incumbent as well. There's all that plays into it as well. But outside of that, a lot of times, you might have someone that I guess the one argument that always come up is that, well, such and such is, they're not experienced. This congressman, he or she has been in Washington, and they know how to play the game or whatever terminology they use. But that, I don't think that's a good argument personally, because you've been there and you haven't done what you said you were going to do. That's normally how I see it when someone always want to talk about someone's experience in Washington. So anyway, that was a rant. I'm looking at the time, I'm like, wow, I did not plan to go that far talking about this. But I'm bad at rants. I've noticed that. Well, that's why I have this podcast, obviously, because I tend to just go on a tangent. So, before I was thinking about Planet of the Apes, actually. I went to saw War for the Planet of the Apes pass on Friday. It's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I'm guessing this is the end of the trilogy, so all three were pretty good movies. But I think I give it about a 3.5 or maybe 3.5. Then I went to see Spider-Man again, but I saw it in a different format. I saw it at the the D-Box. So if you don't know what D-Box is, I actually want to talk about it briefly. So I don't know if anyone, I'm trying to explain it. Well, I'll say this. So if you've ever been to Universal Studios and you know how they do the motion seats and everything, and having some of them in 3D and whatnot. But if you don't know what that is, so basically in a lot of these movie theaters, I said select theaters, mostly at major cities across America, there are like 1 or 2 theaters that have D-Box seats. And so these are special seats where they move according to the movie. So apparently, I guess the film studio set it up to where you move with the movie. So if Spider-Man is swinging, then the chair swings, with it, with the movie. And if there's an explosion, your seat rumbles and, stuff like that. So I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So that's what was at the movie theater in Dallas. And I went to see Spider-Man in those particular seats. And I really like those seats. I mean, it really adds more, I guess it's more immersive as far as into the movie. And I would say if you could find one, try it out. Obviously, it's a little bit more, but I think if you like that sort of thing, kind of like what I'm going back and saying as far as Universal Studios. So if you like that sort of thing, then give that a try. Obviously, they normally use it for action movies because that's when you're doing the whole, explosions and rumbling and cars driving or whatever like that. So I actually don't know what. I would just say Google D-Box. So D, the letter D, box, B-O-X. And and if you're in the major city, 9 times out of 10, there is a theater that has those seats, and it's pretty fun. So I actually can't wait for them to add that with IMAX in 3D. I don't know if they already have that or not. I know they have them in the regular theater, but I don't know if they have them in the IMAX, the real IMAX. I'm not going to get into all that, but there's real IMAX and then there's fake IMAX. And fake IMAX is the one where they basically just convert a regular theater and just put a slightly bigger screen in it, and then they want to call it IMAX. It's, that's a little pet peeve of mine. I really don't like that. I can't stand when I go to a place and I get an IMAX ticket and then I walk in and like, this used to be a regular theater. And then you just added a couple more inches to the screen and want to call it IMAX. Like, anyone that's been to a real IMAX theater, you know that the screen is huge. And those screens can't fit into a normal theater. Okay, I was about to go on another rant on that, but for some reason, that just kind of gets on my nerves. Anyway, but almost forgot what I was about to talk about. I don't know. For some reason, that fired me up for some reason. So, anyway, here's another clip from the Founder Project.
Hello to fans of Trend Chat and Brian Bledsoe. The Founding Project, an education nonprofit dedicated to civics, invites you to visit our brand new website. Visit us at thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with The Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
Yep, and I guess in going and talking about those movies, I know a lot of people probably listening or thinking about it as far as, I guess, in entertainment, that there's always the liberal agenda being pushed, and kind of goes into what I was thinking about as far as what I mentioned in the beginning. And so first off, I want to say before I get into this, so if you're listening, we are on Google Play, iTunes, and iHeartRadio, and like, subscribe, all that. Whether on Spreaker or here, just we appreciate it. Just kind of just see who's listening and kind of, I guess, build numbers and I guess build our audience. But and talking about entertainment in particular, but not as far as, I guess, advocating for liberal policies or ideas or whatnot. One thing I've noticed, I guess, from last week is that was it the shoe company Reebok? They had this little tweet because President Trump said something to the French First Lady, saying that she was in good shape or whatnot. And so Reebok felt the need to get on Twitter and make a little flow chart, basically saying you should never tell a woman that they're in good shape or whatever. But it was funny because, so every time a company like Reebok, just a company in general, does something where they're kind of playing politics, they're kind of pointing to one side, that they're advocating for, whether being some progressive idea or whatnot. And a lot of people we as conservatives, then we'll jump on Twitter or whatever social media platform, we'll say, well, hey, you need to stick to politics, which I agree with. Whether we're talking about something like Reebok or ESPN or Target, Starbucks, the list goes on. And actually, it just came to mind. One app I would recommend to everyone that maybe is thinking about where they want to spend their money and want to know more about these companies. There's an app called Second Vote, like the letter to, Second Vote. That's a pretty good app. It tells you about a lot of these companies and it kind of gives you an idea and, to be more informed about where you want to spend your money at. So if you want to, if you're thinking about going to a certain retailer and you look them up and like, oh, wow, they give money to Planned Parenthood or something like that, stuff like that. So, yeah, Second Vote. That's a good app to check out if you want to look into stuff like that. But I'm just thinking about as far as whether it is any of these companies that are basically out here standing on one side. So they're basically making a pro-liberal, argument. And, in some cases, maybe kind of like in Starbucks where the CEO, where he basically said he doesn't want conservative Christians drinking his coffee or in one way or another. So one thing that comes to mind is that when we as conservatives come out and we said, to ESPN or Target, whatnot, to stick to what selling clothes or stick to sports or whatnot, and also we tend to say like, they're so, how can you be so divisive, That's not good business to go on to make a divisive statement like that, or a tweet, or to basically cut off half the country. That's it's another cliche that we use. And I don't know how many people think of it like this, but for me, these companies are not dumb. So yeah, when they make a statement or something like, or post a tweet or whatever like that, these companies know where their audience is, and I'm pretty sure a lot of these places, either they've done the research, they got the data, they're taking a chance, and they're looking at it like, okay, if we make this statement that basically promote, some liberal idea, one, we feel like we're going to get more people to, either buy our product or watch our network or whatever like that. We'll get more people on our side than the people who would either boycott or go away by us making this statement, by us, leaning this way. Now, one argument we'll make against this is ESPN, because ESPN has been showing a very liberal bias on their sports network, and they've had a number of layoffs, which I would say definitely their bias is contributing to this. They don't want to admit that. Well, some have actually had some anchors actually admit that it plays a part, which I would say, if they would just think about it, I guess they just don't want to admit it, but just at least say that it plays a part in what has been going on in the past couple of years with ESPN. I'm not saying it's the whole. There's other factors that are going on. I understand that, but that is one part of it. So in ESPN's case, they gamble, and it looked like it's not paying off for them. From right now, that's what it looks like for them. But for a lot of these other companies, and also for these other companies, one other thing to consider is that most of these companies are run by liberals. If not at the top, there's a good number of them throughout the whole company. It's not just like where the CEO and the president or whatever like that, or the vice president, they might be conservatives, they might be Republicans, but yet you have all these other people in your company, and I would not be surprised, a lot of them are very active, liberals. And so they're, constantly trying to push an agenda as well through their company in one way or another. So what I'm saying is that these companies are not just willy-nilly going out here making these statements just for nothing. They're banking on, when they make these liberal, affirming statements or arguments or whatever, that the liberals are going to see that and then buy their product. And then the people that disagree with our statement, okay, they may leave, but we'll get more people in the end that support us because we have made this statement. And that's how I'm looking at it whenever I see something like this, like I said, from Reebok, where they made that tweet. When they did that, they was like, okay, we're going to get more people. It's going to be a net positive for us in the end. Yeah, we might, tick some people off, but also I'm pretty sure they probably factor in that some people might be mad at first, but they come back. They're just like, okay, they might be mad. They might post like a real nasty tweet toward us and say, I'll never buy Reebok again. And then, as time goes past, maybe they might buy again because they either just forgotten about it, or it just kind of like, it's not that big of a deal. And then it, go back to buying Reebok. Now, when you're talking about athletic gear, whether you're talking about shoes or whatnot, there are other options. But then you think about it, there's not a lot of other options really when you're talking about as far as if you're talking about talking about as far as shoes or whatnot. Because if you say, okay, I'm not buying Reebok anymore, I'm going to Nike. Well, Nike's not any better either. Nike's going to make some liberal statement and they're just as liberal as well. All right, well, I'll go to Adidas. Did you see Adidas' latest ad? So all of these companies are basically liberal in one way or another. It's kind of one thing where I say a couple of shows ago, I'm not a big I'm not a big boycott guy, only because as a conservative Christian, all these companies are all doing something. So if I basically boycotted any company because they did this or that, it's going to get to the point where you couldn't do nothing. You couldn't buy anything or watch anything because they're all doing something. And so, and I'm pretty sure they know that as well, that all these companies have basically in one way or another have joined up in one way on one issue or another issue. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying about Obamacare as far as your congressman. Is how important is it to you that they did this thing, whether it's advocating for $15 minimum wage or some other issue or just pick your issue that this company may have affirmed by making a ad about it. If you disagree with it, how important is it to you? Is it important enough to where you say I'm never going to buy them again? Then don't. You're never going to watch it again? Then don't watch it. But like I said, a lot of them have done the research and see that. They've seen it also in another sense where a lot of these companies have basically been bullied by the left to basically affirm these liberal ideas. Because one thing liberals have done and has done a great job at, I must say, much as I disagree with it, they've done a great job at, is where they have made these companies feel like, okay, if you don't advocate for our liberal ideas, then that means you are against us and you are actually evil in a sense. You're actually, now, like you can't be neutral in this, not to them at least. You can't just say, I just want to make shoes for everybody. Or kind of like the old Michael Jordan quote saying, Republicans buy shoes too, or something like that. So like you can't play both sides with the liberals, because in the liberal eyes, the other side is the devil, is Antichrist. That's what the other side is to the liberals. So if you are not advocating our agenda, then obviously you must agree with the other side, or you just don't see them as evil as we do, and so therefore we see you as evil, and we will bully you to the point to where you would just say, okay, fine, all right, yes, sure, love is love or whatever. You'll just do that just to appease them, just so they can get off your back. And it has worked masterfully. Really has. And so a lot of times when I'm seeing all these commercials from these companies, that's kind of what the thought I'm having as far as X company makes some sort of statement, some sort of liberal, make some sort of commercial, basically either denigrating conservatives outright or just advocating and promoting liberal ideals. When I see that, I'm like, okay, well, they are making the risk. They are taking the gamble because they see it. They see it worth it, profitable for them to go that route. Sometimes it worked. I'll say a lot of times it worked, actually, because the liberals jump on. They get all happy about it. We as conservatives, we get mad about it. But it seems like for a time we get mad about it. And then next thing you know, we're back buying Starbucks or whatever or something like that. So, but yeah, so that was all I got on that. I said that's all I got. Like I just said a couple of words about it. I just basically went on like 3 rants today. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Speaking of 3, I'm going to play this last clip and from the Founding Project. So here we go.
Hello, Trend Chat fans. The Founding Project invites you to experience our latest resource to take civics to citizens, TFP's new website. Visit us at www.thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with the Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Join us today.
Yep. And and also in thinking about as far as what Maggie just said is for the Founding Project. As I mentioned before, I'm in Wyoming, and I'm kind of going back and forth between Colorado and Utah this week because I'm going to be in Denver for the Western Conservative Summit this weekend. So I'm just trying to stay in the area back and forth and do a couple of loads here and there, and then on Thursday head in and be there till Sunday, and hopefully get a couple of interviews for next week. And actually this week, Freedom Fest is going on down in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it down there. My plan was to go from Las Vegas up to Denver, but I just couldn't find a route to get that to make those 2 trips to go to both events. So I had to pick one, and so I already had the credentials for at the Western Conservative Summit. So I guess I just had to go to Denver and just had to be there. But a lot of friends of mine down in Las Vegas for Turning Point as well, because Turning Point is having their Young Latino Leadership Summit in Las Vegas before Freedom Fest. And so hopefully I might get a chance to get in touch with some of them, and maybe I might have them speak about what is going on. Maybe call a couple of friends and maybe they'll come on and we'll talk about that and Freedom Fest. Let's see what we can do. So anyway, I appreciate everyone listening in, and I have no clue what'll be on for Thursday, but either way, I hope you will like it. I hope I will like it. As far as I found something to rant about. Trust me. Like I said when I first started this podcast, there's always something going on. I could talk about something. There's always something going on. So that being said, something will be going on Thursday, and I'll be talking about it. So until then, we'll chat with you later.